Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting and sight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on concealed carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation. I gotta keep this on the QT.
No joke. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what does a week bring? My goodness. What a week.
It's insane, brother. It really is just insane. Discouraging even. Yeah. It's just been a week. So you know what? When I was hanging out with some friends when the text messages or the messages were coming through saying that they'd storm the Capitol, and I'm going to be real honest. My first thought was, "Oh, this is exciting, right? This is yeah." And then when I actually saw what was going on, I'm like, "This is hardly storming the castle."
I know, right?
Right. And then you see the videos
when they stay in between the red ropes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And do no damage to where minutes later they're back in there debating the election. I'm like, kind of a big letdown here.
Yeah. First of all, complete setup. For crying out loud, some clown in face makeup with a fur hat on walks in there. Like, this is not a
He just got arrested. He just got arrested.
Did he get arrested?
Yeah.
He's being a clown. Like, the whole thing was ridiculous. I do believe they were set up. All the videos of them letting people in. And
here's the thing. I listened to an interview of, it's a famous YouTube channel, all conservatives. And one of the guys is a legitimate journalist for The Blaze. He's got credentials and everything. He was there and he's like, look, I'm being hated by conservatives right now because I'm telling them where we were, they absolutely broke in. He goes, maybe they were letting people in because there's those small little clips in certain areas. He goes, but that was not the bulk. He goes, the bulk was they burst through the barriers. They broke into the Capitol. They absolutely were there. I was talking with the Capitol Police. I was there as a credentialed reporter. He's now on the no-fly list because he was there.
Oh, man.
A lot of people are now on the no-fly list. They've been notified they're on the no-fly list because they were there. They were physically there and they could identify them.
Hey, so as we're talking about this, I want to try to share our Facebook feed. It says content isn't available right now.
I don't know.
Are we still live on the book?
Let me share it. I'm sharing just fine.
Okay, we're on now. We're on. We're all right.
Now because I'm telling them. Woo! I can hear me in the background.
Sorry,
we're all right. I love hearing me.
I thought we got zucked. No. So first of all, I'm in full agreement that there were people legitimately breaking in. Right, totally, or illegitimately breaking in. The thing that got me is, like, here we've got barriers up, and we see where there are videos of the police taking down barriers, inviting people in. I fully agree, illegal, bad stuff happened. But of course, my concern is not that they got in there. It's that, like, if you're gonna storm the castle, get it done. Don't go and act like clowns. Either this situation is bad enough that you need to actually have an insurrection, or you shouldn't do jack. Right.
I think a lot of them were like, well, hey, they didn't do anything to BLM or Antifa. So, there's thousands of people here. I'm good. And now they're being arrested. Like they're being arrested all over the country. I've got some friends who were there. I don't know if they went in the Capitol or not. I'm just waiting to hear if they get arrested. And then I'll know. I'll know what the government's claiming. But to me, I was like, I honestly, I haven't really said anything on Facebook about it. Everyone on the right was just coming out and condemning it, like, big time, which I found the consistency in their message, because they condemned BLM and Antifa with the same fervor, maybe not as much as this fervor. Like, this fervor, they were like, almost like, you guys are supposed to represent me and this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the left, who gave BLM and Antifa a free pass, are condemning it. So, like, their consistency totally gone.
But they've been inconsistent on everything. So
yeah.
No, I'm with you. Yeah,
I honestly was like, look, this isn't really like you. I was like, this isn't really storming the castle.
yeah,
Like BLM, they blew crap up.
yeah.
They
were
literally
burned.
stole everyone's stuff. They lit the places on fire, and not for a couple of hours, not for a couple of days, not for a couple of weeks, for months on end.
Yeah.
Every single night, months on end.
Yeah.
And then it's like these guys go in there, they basically run around the place for a couple of hours and leave.
Yeah. It was a joke. Yeah. I mean, it was a wicked joke, but it was a joke.
Absolutely. But I'm like, that's why I was like, I'm like, what? Why are we even commenting on this?
Yeah.
Like, why is this even a thing?
Yeah. Well, there's so much. I mean, like the woman who got shot, like, yeah, she probably shouldn't have gone in there, but makes no sense how or why they shot her.
He was probably fearing for his life. I mean, realistically, you're a Capitol Police, you're surrounded by a ton of people, you're scared. I will absolutely say that you're scared. I'm not saying it was a justified shooting. I don't know the circumstances surrounding it. Guarantee you there's video of it. Whether or not we'll ever see it is a whole nother thing.
There is video. You should watch the video.
Have you seen it? You've seen the video?
That's just, I'm scared to even say certain things. Let's just, if you get your hands on the video, see the video. Okay. I think she was murdered.
Oh, really?
Opinion. Yeah. Again, even videos we're seeing out of context.
Yeah, but then why would there only be one shot? That doesn't make any sense unless she was the only person around.
But she wasn't.
See, that's I'll have to see the video, but to me, I'm like, from what I heard, it sounded like I could understand a scared cop shoots. Yeah. I could understand that.
Yeah.
Not saying it's right. Yeah. You know, we always talk about,
we know that happens. So I recognize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get your hands on the video, it's yeah.
Do you know my Signal address?
Yeah, I'll see if we can.
Dude, here's the scary thing to me, man. Okay, we've been saying for months we're in the middle of a cold civil war, but after seeing what's happened this last week, and I'm not talking about the Capitol, I'm talking about big tech, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Spotify, Reddit, everyone go after conservatives. I mean, they're using Trump as the excuse, but they're literally going after conservatives. I'm like, dude, this thing's going to turn into a shooting civil war in the next 2 years. I don't see how it
maybe
doesn't.
The next couple of months.
It absolutely could, but I'm saying within 2 years, I don't see how it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, here's the reality. So, the joke, well, whatever, they wouldn't say it's a joke, but for a while they're saying, oh, if you don't like our platforms, go to another platform. Right. And so cool. You go to Parler and then they're like, aha, we don't like Parler. And so here's the thing, like I know that a lot of times conservatives will say, well, it is it's their business. They're allowed to make the decisions. And I'm like, it's
also a publicly traded company that benefits from government dollars.
Exactly. My thing is like all bets are off once you go into that kind of a situation where you're actually getting government dollars, and you're undergoing protections that come that come with that. And so my thing is like, no, man, they don't get to censor like that. And so for Apple's booted, Amazon's booted, Google is booted, Parler. It's just not good. And so like, this is absolutely control of free speech at this point.
It's not just control of free speech. They are literally trying to shut down half of the country.
Yeah.
Like you gotta, I mean, no matter whether you like the guy or not, I didn't vote for Trump, but they're literally trying to silence the half that did. Yeah. Like millions upon millions of people. They're trying to silence them.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that I can disagree with a whole bunch of things he said, but it's no question that he's like, we need you to go home. We need you to be peaceful. And that's when they deplatform him.
Right.
And
because he said it was still a fraudulent election and they're like, no, it's not.
Yeah. And that they're saying they're claiming that is inciting an insurrection. And I'm like, well, he's just saying it like it is on that. Like, I disagree with so many things, but like, man, if a guy can't just talk, we're in a bad spot. We are it's over, man. The whole thing's over and we're going to have a civil war I'm not advocating for it, but it's a reality. And I'm hoping it happens sooner rather than later, not because I want a civil war, but because of what happens if there's not a check and balance on what's going on. Either it gets balanced out here, or we're going to be into such despotism, we're going to be screwed really fast. So, yeah, it's not good, man. It's really not good as far as all that goes. Yeah. So,
well, and I don't know if you've seen it as well, but now they're trying to get, again, the big push to get the credit card companies to basically not allow companies that sell 80% guns to be able to use credit cards, which is controlling the money system. So they're controlling communications. They're trying to control the financial markets, which I believe will help Bitcoin even bigger. The problem is one of the issues. Right, yeah. One of the issues with Bitcoin is access to it. So the easiest way for most people to use Bitcoin is utilizing Coinbase, which, again, we're talking about a US based company that the government is going to be able to control.
Yeah.
So,
man, welcome to the end of the world, man.
The end of at least not the USA as we know it.
Into the USA.
Yeah.
It's over. I think whatever we're going to have something happen, it's not going to be the United States. That's going to be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been for a little while, but it's particularly clear right now. So related to that, in another news, I reorganized my assault pack. Feeling really good about that.
You mean your defensive pack?
Well, yeah, but the reality is, like, even if you're going hiking, the size of pack is in that realm. So yes, it is. It's not, and I'm not sure how I would assault somebody with a pack anyway. But reorganized. I've gone from a bug out scenario to a get home scenario, and so I reorganized that a little bit. Added my my new knife into there, so get some MRE and some protein bars.
Did I show you my new knife?
No, I want to see it.
Jeez. Hold this thought.
Yeah. Well, as you're doing that, I'll tell everybody about also went and grabbed myself some Amend 2.
Because you never know when you need a new knife.
Well, the answer is you always need a new knife. You always know that. What you got?
Wow, look at that baby.
Oh, it does look cool, man.
Dude,
that's like old Rambo style, man.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, you never know, right? This thing never runs out of ammunition.
It doesn't. And it just looks cool. Yeah, dude. No, that's awesome. Good fun.
Hey,
I'm actually watching for my new battle box. I'm hoping it comes today because I'm hoping my new neck knife is in there.
All I can tell you is based on what I've seen over the last week, I've been doing some shopping. That's all I'm going to say. I've been doing some shopping.
Yes.
Been doing some, not for guns or ammo. That's not what I need. I've been doing some shopping for other ancillary products that definitely going to need.
Yeah. Is your wife on board with a couple of, would she be on board with some of the shopping you're doing? I mean that in a positive way. Am I thinking the same thing that you're shopping for?
I'm not going to answer that question. Reading is good. Can we start the story now?
Nice. Oh, that's good.
Let's just say my job as a husband and father is to protect the family.
Yeah.
So I have a God-given responsibility, whether or not anyone else in the family is with me on that.
Yeah.
I have asked my wife what size body armor does she wear, but she's never gotten back to me on that.
Oh, man. Yeah. You know what? Hoplite makes body armor for ladies, as I understand. They were talking about it at least. Might be worth checking that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check out some Hoplite armor, man. That's cool. No. Here's something I will recommend because obviously we're talking about standard capacity magazines for guys like me. I know it's something you're limited on how you can get a hold of it. But I want to tell everybody, man, PMags right now are running right around $20 to get like a.
Are they really that much now? Wow.
Yeah, 18, 19. I'm seeing them. But a Men 2 still $9.99, man. So if you want to stock up on some standard capacity magazines, I'm going to recommend look for some Amend 2, man. I am really liking them. I've got I think 4 or 5 of those now, and I've got different ones. I've got PMags, I've got HexMag, I've got whatever. But the Amend 2, man, as you're stocking up, you can get a really quality, in my opinion, a quality magazine for your AR for cheap, and that's actually what I did Saturday. I went and picked up a few more of those things. So recommending them while we're talking about getting gear. Those, if you essentially you can get 2 of those for the price it's going to cost you to buy 1 PMag, at least where I'm at. And so think about that as you're stocking up. And that allowed me to, I'm in the persuasion now. I'm like, let's just get mags for all of my ammo. I'd rather just have it in mags. I'd rather be ready to rock.
Geez, that'd be a lot of mags for me. There's not enough mags in the world. I'm
not, I haven't done it for all my ammo, but I kept thinking like better to have it in here. And so right now when it's harder to get ammo, man, I can get mags. And so I'm going to go for it.
I've probably got in mags right now between AR and 9 and 45. I would say I'm close to 600-700 rounds in mags. So
nice.
I've always been of the theory that an empty mag serves no purpose. Like I never understood the guys who they're done at the range and they're emptying their mags. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm filling my mags.
Yeah, that's wasted work for one thing. Why not just fill it up?
I'm like, is there a problem with your spring? What are you doing here? That doesn't make any sense to me.
People are weird, man. I don't know. People are weird. Yeah. So anyway, it's been quite a time.
It's been an absolute assault, complete assault on conservatives. I mean, what we're really seeing right now, it's not just the silencing of it. I mean, it's starting there, right? Because they're figuring if they can break the back of the conservatives and not allow them to communicate with each other, then it's total domination. Like that's what they're going for right now. Ron Paul put out a great article, whatever you want to call it. Let me see here. Ron Paul Institute. Let me see what the title of it is. The War on Terror Comes Home, Monday, January 11th. So it came out today. This is on ronpaulinstitute.org. Yep. He brings out a lot of really good points. He goes, it's more than just, trying to erase the Trump movement from the pages of history. It's also an attempt to silence any criticism of the emerging political consensus in the coming Biden era, which is true.
Yeah.
Right. We already saw big tech influence the election. We saw them not let the Hunter Biden story come out. They censored that. They don't want any of the negative stuff to come out about Biden, his administration, even though he's basically bringing in all the same guys as before.
Yep.
But one of the things that he gives that's really hopeful, and he got a really great point here. He goes, take a look at Russia. They didn't have social media. They didn't have those things. And yet they got really creative and found ways to organize and to continue their movement. Yeah. Without all of that. And he's right. And I don't know what that's going to be. I mean, I jumped on Parler and then I was like, Parler's stupider than Twitter. I'm like, Parler's just stupid. And so I'm pissed that they shut it off. Like, I'm pissed that literally it's like the bullies on the block just ganged up on the new kid and shut him down.
Yeah. And they're bragging about it. What's his name? Jack, what's his name at Twitter is like he texted a screenshot of the top apps, of course, with Parler absent and is bragging on it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, his company stock went down like 12 or 13% at the opening bell.
Screw him.
Which I know another conservative friend of mine. I used to have a radio show back in the day, and he'd come on every once in a while. He shorted a whole bunch of Twitter stock over the weekend, so he'd go in first thing Monday morning. So hopefully he made a bunch of money there.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it's really we've now reached the dark times where it's not just so much that they don't like us for being conservative. They're going to do everything in their power to shut us up. If you think that the Second Amendment is going to protect you, your gun rights, no. They're absolutely coming for your guns. They're coming for everything.
It's just a piece of paper at that point. I mean,
they're shutting us up. I would actually say it's a matter of time before our podcast gets booted.
Oh yeah,
both from
I'm surprised
iTunes.
We haven't been deplatformed already.
We're so small. It's honestly the way I look at it. I'm like, we're not even a zit on the rhinoceros butt right now.
They don't even care.
Yeah, we're so small. We're nothing.
But hey, here's the thing, though. Think about that for a second. That tells us something. That this is how communication works. We were talking about in these kind of situations. It's me communicating with my family, with my small group of friends. It's you doing yours, and then both of our listeners, assuming it's on a good day.
Both of our listeners, I love it.
Right, but seriously, it allows us to. It is through small meshes. We call it a mesh network of small little groups of people, and that can be very powerful. I remind everybody that part of what was so dangerous about the various terror cells is that they had a unified ideology. They weren't centrally organized. They had a unified ideology, and they could keep doing what they were doing. And it was so hard to stamp out terror because this group would be stamped out over here, but these guys over here were still doing their thing. You never really could find a central leader to stop it. And I'm not advocating terrorism, obviously, but the idea of decentralized communications and ideology, unified by ideology, allow us to do wonderful things. Keep at it. There's value in this. We'll keep doing this as long as we can. Going to try to avoid jail,
absolutely avoid jail, but avoid detection by the Gestapo, the tech Gestapo. I mean, I'm like, first of all, we got guns in our logo, so it's a matter of time before we're booted.
It's true.
I had to deal with so much crap for the last several months from Facebook specifically, and I'm absolutely convinced it's because how you can actually look up how do they rate you. I'm rated as like an ultra conservative, which is accurate, and I'm convinced that's part of the reason why I've had so much problem on their advertising platform the last 2 months.
Same here.
It reached the point where I got personally banned last week from being able to advertise, so I couldn't even go into my clients' accounts and use their accounts to do advertising. I was able to get that reversed, but my company is still banned. And it's been in review since November 15th. So we're coming up here on 2 months and they haven't even reviewed it. So it's just, and a part of me is like, yeah, but I don't want to give Facebook any more money. Like, I don't want to give Facebook more money. I don't want to buy another iPad. I don't want to buy another iPhone. I don't want to buy a Google phone. What do? There's only Google and Apple. What else is there? I don't know. I mean, they control everything. We let them reach this point where they control it all.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. Elon Musk needs to start a tech company. It's not going to fix anything, but
well, I don't know if you saw he's starting a Wi-Fi from satellite space, right? They've already launched 830 satellites, and they just started providing it to the UK. And they're talking about guys who are like, one guy was quoted saying, hey, you know what? I used to have a 0.5 megabyte up down, and now I'm at 85 using satellite Wi-Fi. And so the goal is something like 48,000 satellites to do a worldwide mesh. But again, what happens when you have a guy like Elon Musk and he either changes his tune or he dies and the next person takes over?
I know, man. Scary. Yeah. Hey, a little side note though. Earlier we mentioned Bitcoin. I logged in here to have a look. Bitcoin is at 31,752, 770, 794.
You know what's funny is I literally bought in yesterday at 40,000. I'm so pissed.
Yeah. I didn't know it reached all the way up to 40. I knew we were up in the 36s. Yeah. Here's what's funny. I bought just because I'm like, you know what? Let's just do what's going on. I believe in the concept of Bitcoin. I think it's really interesting. Bitcoin's not to be an investment strategy, though. It's supposed to be a currency. And now the game has changed in that people are seeing it as investment. I do think there's some value in having some money in it, but it's so many things are going so crazy right now. Back when we were seeing a little bit of a bubble moving on it, when we were right around like, I don't know, maybe 6,000 a couple of years ago, I went ahead and got some because I'm like, this is cool. But I put like $300 in it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move a little bit over into Litecoin and a little bit into whatever, because I just want to see what happens. Like, $300 is not, actually it was 200. I'm sorry. It was 200 I put into 3 different cryptocurrencies. The bulk of it was in Bitcoin. At some point I moved, I think 150 of it into just Bitcoin. That's worth $412.97 right now.
Nice.
That was worthwhile. And now I'm like, man, if I had had more money and put in it. But it was funny because we saw it go.
My buddy bought 12,000 at 19,000 when Bitcoin was at 19,000 a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And then when it reached 40, he's like, yeah, I'm at $20,000. I go, I got to be honest with you. I would sell off 12,000.
I would
to get my original principal back and just let the other 8 float.
I would do the same thing. Actually, my sister did something similar to that, where she saw it grow. Actually, back when I was telling my family, I'm like, Bitcoin is interesting. Don't put your life savings in it right now, but it's worth putting some money into it to see what happens. Because the reality, put aside anything else, it's nice to have a little bit in there because the American dollar could crash. American dollar.
That's part of the reason why Bitcoin has gone down today is the US dollar has gone up.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing gold go down, Bitcoin go down dramatically. I think we're down like 24% for the day.
Yeah, that's a big chunk.
It is.
Yeah, that's a big chunk. Yeah, that's no question. Now, I'm fine because I don't have enough in there to matter, and it's still way up from when I bought it. But I remember when we were thinking like, wow, this is up to $6,000. Let's see what happens. And then when it went up to, 7, 8, we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that was bonkers to us, whatever, 2 years ago. We're like, whoever thought this could happen? We're at $31,000 right now for something that we were going nuts over it being 7,000 2 years ago. It's just really wild. So, yeah,
it is. And there's a lot of things that have been coming down the pipe. The banking industry has finally been given the green light that they can use Bitcoin and blockchain for a lot of their stuff. So it's basically being given the green light from regulatory bodies. I look at it, first of all, it's a horrible investment. I really, really liked the idea behind what Facebook was going to do. They were trying to come out with their own cryptocurrency, and basically it was going to be tied to a basket of currencies. So they had like rules for how you would, do the baskets, US dollar, the British pound, whatever it was, right? I don't remember what they all were. And to me, I'm looking at that going, that offers a huge amount of stabilization, right? Because now you don't have these wild fluctuations like we see in Bitcoin, and you could actually use it for what it's intended for, which is being able to send money to people no matter where they are in the world without paying crazy fees, without having all this crap. You could just do what you wanted with it. The problem that I always had was I don't want Facebook to have that kind of control. Yeah. I don't want them to basically become the Fed. I have a huge problem with that.
For so many reasons.
Yeah, I was so glad when it got stamped down because of that. But I liked that concept. But then what do you do, when everyone's currency starts to die out and it all becomes cryptocurrency? A lot of things could influence all of that. But anyway, yeah, it's really interesting to see all that. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. I think if we do have credit card companies basically shutting off gun manufacturers, shutting off people from being able to accept payment through the regular monetary system that we've got, that's just going to be one more thing that people are going to be using Bitcoin for. Yeah. Be buying all their gun parts.
Let's make a quick recommendation because this is related to gun industry. I recognize we're in a whole different realm here, but this is a pretty important thing for freedom in general, and for guns even. There's a book called Blockchain Revolution by Don Tapscott and Alex Tapscott. TAPSCOTT. Blockchain Revolution is the name of the book. Great book to read because Bitcoin is one thing. Understanding the blockchain technology that goes behind most of, not all of, the cryptocurrencies, understanding what it can do and how it works is going to be really helpful. So recommending that if you get the chance, because it's not the same as having a gold standard, but there is something about a standard value behind that is good for us. And what you can do kind of with the moving of money through blockchain is just really incredible. All of the headaches of, I use my bank card here. It doesn't really get to the guy until the next day. It doesn't come out of my bank account until another day. It's just.
Oh, we lost you there, Dan. There you go. Now you're back.
Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, that's worth checking out that book. It explains a lot. And it really is just really cool. So, could become necessary soon, that we're using more blockchain.
What was the name of the book again?
Blockchain Revolution by Don Tapscott. I read it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a mixture of layman's language. And then if you want to get into some of the understanding of how the code works, you can, but you don't have to be a code guy to get a lot out of that book. But there's so much, because things are happening. And this are really quick. The way, the type of code we use for the blockchain is incredibly difficult to mess with. Once something is built out and you have this SHA value, you don't have to know what that is. But once you have that, it's incredible. So what's happening though is that each bit of code, and we call it blockchain, is building on top of the last one. So once we're about 3 in, it's virtually impossible for anybody to get in there and change that information. Essentially, the ledger of where is what is public, and so you have to get in and mess with what's happening and to do anything fraudulently is next to impossible. You essentially have to control half the computers in the world to change anything after a few minutes in. So really, really interesting when you understand blockchain, and then you understand things are happening instantaneously. So then think about contracts. You and I could draft a contract where I'm going to sell you information, and we push a button and it happens. It just all in a moment. So there's no messing and going back on contracts. Information can be shared in unique ways. It's just really cool. So,
and that's one of the interesting things about, what is it called? Ethereum? Is that the?
Yes. Ethereum's another interesting one.
Because it does more than just the currency.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at Ethereum over, let me see, I'm going to go 1 year. It's up 564%, as opposed to, let me go over here to Bitcoin 1 year is up 290%. So it's literally twice what Bitcoin is as far as growth.
Yeah.
So like yesterday when I was buying some stuff, I bought some Bitcoin and I bought some Ethereum right before both of them tanked. But that one to me is even more interesting because I don't understand the technology behind it, but understanding that it's becoming more attractive to developers and programmers because they can do so much more with it.
Yes.
Which makes me go, okay, wait a second. That one might have some great potential here.
Yeah.
I want to look more into this. So,
yeah. Yeah. So Ethereum's another interesting one. I'm actually going to see if I think I still have a little bit in Ethereum. Do I? Yeah, a little bit, not much. Yeah, but Ethereum's another really interesting. I think we're going to see some cool stuff happen, and there's still creativity to be brought in. Right? It's kind of like when you have one fax machine, it's only worth so much, but the more people using fax machines, the more the value of it actually increased. Right. So worth just kind of watching this, getting in on some of the big ones, just to kind of see what happens. Some of them could completely tank and we lose all the money. I'm not putting my whole life in it. But I am kind of paying attention. So far, every investment I made in it turned out to be a good investment.
See, that's why I'm kind of wishing it wasn't an investment. I wish it was just what it was intended for, which is currency exchange.
Yeah.
But people are treating it like an investment. And to me, what's bad about that is there's no underlying value. Like a company, a stock has underlying value. There's the product, there's the company assets, there's something real. There is literally nothing under Bitcoin. And you can't say, oh, it's the blockchain tech. That's got nothing to do with it. Like the underlying value of a Bitcoin is air. It's literally like the US dollar, except that the US dollar also comes with, the full faith and trust in the US government.
So whatever that's worth.
Well, it's worth a lot though. Like we can joke
so
about how bad, but it's worth a lot because the world relies on the US dollar.
Yeah.
So, but Bitcoin doesn't have that.
And this is again why people viewing it as an investment strategy is causing us problems, because then it goes up, it goes down, it's being played with.
Right.
And here's what's interesting. The reality is the value of Bitcoin is built into the movement of it. So you running the blockchain system is, with your computers or whatever, it pays you in the currency itself. And so that the work, and it is work, like your computer doing the work to run the blockchain is how the people working it get paid. It does have a limited number. So there's a system to it that provides consistency.
See, now maybe you can answer this for me because you read that book, but here's been my problem with it. Okay, so the public ledger, they get paid in what's called mining. So you run a public ledger, you get to mine Bitcoin. So there's so many Bitcoins that are going to come out over so many years, and they go to the miners because they're running the public ledgers. What the heck happens when there's no longer any Bitcoins to be mined? Wouldn't you turn off your computer? Because literally, like the guys in Russia are paying $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 monthly electric bills to pay for all their computers and all the energy that it sucks up to keep them cool enough to run these public ledgers. Yeah. Don't you turn it off? Like, then what happens to the currency? I don't get it.
So the short answer is there's a lot of that I'm not sure of. The part of and again, it comes to the problem of it was never meant to be run like this. We weren't supposed to have people trading it like they are to where it can lose and gain value in the way it has. It was meant to be, I get to exchange currency with my connections. And so honestly, I don't know. Like once we get to that maximum, I don't know how that works. It's
because I think that particular Bitcoin or that crypto coin, I should say, is going to die because I think everyone's going to turn off their ledger. I mean, I wouldn't run it anymore. I'd be like, I can't make any more money. So, and of course, before then you would know, like there's a date. They know when it's going to be done.
And that's why its value is as a means of exchange.
Right.
Right. And we need means of exchange, and that's handy. And when you know when that day is coming and whatever, and imagine if we're like, hey, we're going to print dollars and you use them up this year. And I know the dollar is worth this much and whatever. And at such and such time, but it was meant to be a means of exchange, not a value in and of itself. And they're like, all right, so we get rid of those, we get new ones. That would be one thing. But now because it's seen as an investment strategy, the whole thing's jacked up a little bit.
Right.
So, there's a whole lot of questions that I don't have answered on that myself. So, So a little side note though, we probably ought to talk about some guns a little bit. We really just need to get back in a little bit of guns. Having some fun shooting that Walther, brother. It's been a nice little thing. Really, really good. It
must be nice to have your own range in your backyard.
Oh man, it's better than that. Me and Leroy Senior. Leroy Senior's got a heated indoor shooting range. So shout out to Leroy Senior. He knows who he is. We got to get together and shoot some more. But yeah, that's the magic of the thing. Excited about any new guns coming out or anything like that?
Well, I picked up my Glock 48 last week. I haven't had a chance to get over to the range yet. I'm hoping there's a handgun competition on Thursday, so I'm thinking maybe I'll just sign up for that. Go shoot my gun for that and get my certificate so I can get that added to my CCW.
Nice.
Because I plan on using that as my carry gun. I wanted another single stack. And it's basically, slightly longer than a Glock 19, just single stack. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that. Of course, nice. I now find out that someone has created a magazine that fits the Glock 48, a single stack. But the way they've done it is they've made the magazine. I don't remember who did it, but it holds 15 rounds. I can't buy that in California, right? Because it's it's a high capacity magazine. But I'm sitting there going, that would be a dream for me, because I'm all about round count. And these guys actually figured out how to make a magazine that will hold technically one extra round more than a Glock 19.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. I think you, yeah, I'd want that.
I would want it. But see, the thing is, I'm not going to get caught in California with it, because there's no way I could justify that I bought it during Freedom Week. I don't even know if Glock 48s were out during Freedom Week. So, that's not an argument I'm going to make. So,
no, that's awesome, man.
So I'll be stuck with the 10 round magazines that Glock 48 comes with, but that's all right. That's all right. I'm just going to carry extra magazines.
Yeah. And you'll be all right. That's a good, and you can do a lot with
statistically. What do they say? 3 yards, 3 seconds, 3 shots. That's what the average self-defense shooting stats say. 3 yards, 3 rounds. So it shouldn't matter, right?
You should be all right.
Always
makes me feel better to have more rounds.
Right? Doesn't it? Isn't that why we pack up all of our magazines? And I got a crap ton of magazines everywhere.
Well, and of course, for different purposes. For your conceal, you're probably fine with just that. And so you'll be all right.
Probably fine.
I'm not worried about it for you.
Watch me be the guy who dies because I ran out of ammunition. And if I just had one more round.
I'll be doing the closing episode like, well,
he should have kept the Glock 19 and not the Glock 48. Live and learn. Oh, don't live and learn.
You keep living and learn from Pete's mistake.
Right.
Only he stayed with the Glock 19. Well, have you seen the joke about the guys carrying the 1911s? And it's what do you do when you have more than 8 guys attack you? Yeah.
Well, that's also assuming. I mean, this is the thing that you bring up a good point here that people need to understand. On TV, 1 shot, 1 kill. In real life, it is not 1 shot, 1 kill.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you always hear about the cop who shoots 6, 7, 8 times, because they kept coming. The threat wasn't stopped yet. Like
what? And you talk about somebody on PCP, man, or something like that, man, they're not feeling pain. You're in trouble. Yeah.
Cameron just put, I'm in purgatory for my 9mm. Cameron, what 9mm did you get? Purgatory. He means our 10-day hold here in California.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter how many guns I have. They know I have them. I'm a concealed carry weapons guy. I still got to wait 10 days.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Oh man.
I want to hear what he's got, man. What's the 9mm?
Oh, Cameron's a good guy, man. I got to say, he is a faithful listener every week, which should we announce we're going to be moving our live session up a little bit?
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're moving it up, and honestly, I know what the West Coast time is going to be. We're moving it to 9:30 a.m. West Coast time, which makes it 12:30 Eastern.
Are you 3 hours difference? What time zone are you in?
I'm in Eastern Standard.
Yeah, you're 3 hours different.
3 hours difference. So, yeah, so we're going to be at 12:30, which means for a lot of you guys on the East Coast, you'll be able to jump in during lunch break if you like. So we're moving it up a little bit. Should be work good for both Pete's schedule and mine, but hopefully for our listeners as well. Watch
XD9. He got an XD9. Nice, Cameron.
Those are nice. I
sold my XD9. I made some money on it. Yeah. Nice.
I actually shot an XD9 with Leroy Senior. Actually, like he had a nice one. We learned a lesson though. You gotta make sure. You got to be careful what kind of cleaning product you put in there. We actually had a little issue with the firing pin not moving like it was supposed to because we had some
really.
Yeah, so it was interesting because that was just concealed. And so I pull out my gun, shoot a few rounds, awesome. He pulls out that one, and he just cleaned it not long ago. Hadn't put any rounds through it, and whatever the cleaning stuff on it in the firing pin, I mean, nothing was happening. Not even a dink on the
really
on the cap. And so he's like, man, that's scary. So pulls it out, cleans it out, and totally good to go. So it was some kind of a buildup from some of the cleaning supply. So, or that was what he was suspecting. So yeah, that matters. Watch out. That firing, but there's not too many things that you just can't afford to go wrong. But the firing pin is one of them. That thing has to go forward. But those XDs are comfortable to shoot. They're almost a little fancy for me.
I really liked mine, but I just was like, I'm such a Glock guy that I'm going to carry Glocks, and so I was like, it became a trunk gun for me. I had a hiding spot in my trunk, and I just always left it there because it wasn't on my conceal permit. I couldn't leave it with ammunition in it, but I had ammunition close enough to it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, you know what? Somebody needed one. I was like, all right, I'll sell you my XD9. But I think I got mine for like $300, and I ended up selling it for like 500. So
you did all right there. Actually, because that's a good deal all around.
It was because of the gun apocalypse that we've been going through.
Yeah. Oh man, no, that's a good gun, but that's too nice of a gun to make your trunk gun.
And that's the other thing too. I don't really like buying guns and just letting them be safe queens or just sitting around and not doing anything. I like to actually utilize my firearms. Mm-hmm. But I've reached the point now where I've got so many that it's like I can't utilize them all. Like it's not going to happen.
That's all right. You have to start carrying like multiple guns for your conceal at one time.
I know, right? I've done that before too. I've gone to church events and I'm like, okay, today I've got 3 firearms on me. I got one in my ankle, one on the right side, one on the left side. This church service is going to be lit today. Nothing better happen here.
Are you carrying 3 o'clock, appendix, 4 o'clock, or ankle? Yes. That's awesome. And also trunk and
trunk. Well, and then I got you know how you got the cup holder in your side door? Mine is all filled with filled magazines because I'm like, hey, worst case scenario, I need another magazine. It's all, my higher capacity, like my 21 and 24 rounders for the Glock. And I'm like, hey.
Yeah. The ones you can't have sticking out, too far.
Yeah, you can't have it sticking out your shirt. Peter, you happy to see me? No, it's my 24 round magazine. I'm good.
Which for the for appendix carriers, man, they're making this thing, this like claw thing. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah.
When you're appendix carrying and your handle wants to stick out, it makes a nice little curve, which actually helps for concealment, not just with the handle, but gives you a nice even belt curve.
Right.
So not bad. I'm thinking about maybe picking up one of those things. So
see, that's what I was looking at for me going appendix. There's a really nice one that's got the extra magazine holder on the left side since I'm a righty, and then that on the right. And I'm like, and the way that it's shaped, I'm like, that would be perfect. But again, I'm like, it's $75. Yeah. Do I really want to spend 75?
Yeah, probably not. The other thing is you do lose. I actually kind of, for concealment, it's not as good, but that little bit of the angle of the handle pushing out a little bit is for a speed of grabbing onto that thing is pretty handy. I mean, it just a little bit makes a difference. I can get my fingers in there behind it. I can pull a little bit faster. So anyway, that's what's up with that. So anything else before we close out here that we need to let the Freedom Nation know about?
No, just stay strapped or get clapped.
Yeah, that is becoming more of a reality, by the way. So, yeah. Well, hey, everybody, be checking out here in the next couple of days, maybe even later today, learms.net. We're going to have a couple of actual self-defense classes that do not involve guns that you can sign up for. So if you're ever in a situation where maybe you're carrying a 1911 and you shot all 8 of your rounds, we got you covered.
Which by the way, Cameron, little tidbit of information here. If you buy magazines for the XD 40 cal, like if you buy 40 cal magazines, they fit 9mm rounds, but you can put 15 of them. You can put 15 9mm rounds, and it's technically not breaking any law because it's for 40 cal.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
I mean, you're not breaking any law, but now you got an extra 5 rounds in your firearm. I knew a guy who competed, and that's what he did. He shot with the 40 round caliber magazines, but he just put his 9mm rounds in it. And
well, that's like your AR AR standard AR mags, man. You put 9 SOCOMs in them.
That's it, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's so it's a 9-round mag. That's
just got to go buy me I just got to go buy me at least an upper for a 458 SOCOM, just so people are like, okay, all right. You genuinely use that magazine for that firearm.
That is a tank of a round, by the way.
Dude, I shot one. This guy had one at the range last New Year's Eve. It was a big deal. A bunch of guys always got together and go out to the range, and he let me shoot it. And he had like every conceivable additional part to buffer that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that thing was like jaw dropping. It was like, oh man, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which serves its purpose, but most of the time that's not what we're going to want to do.
No. Oh, a side note. I totally took you out of your commercial, man.
No, it's all right. Oh, I already covered it. You're good.
Dude, the bolt, we were talking about that bolt that turns your AR into a bolt action. Therefore, you're compliant with, all of the California rules because it's no longer an assault weapon. And I mean, I was like, this thing is brilliant. It literally turns your AR into a bolt action rifle. And all it is a bolt carrier group and a charging handle in one. And so you just replace yours and now it's good to go. And one guy was saying, you might get in trouble if you keep your old bolt carrier group, because then they're like, oh, you could swap it out. Now it's an assault weapon. Yeah. But if I don't have it in that configuration,
what are you going to do?
Yeah. Why don't you have multiple ARs? Like I've got featureless, I've got fixed magazine, and then bolt carrier. And so the guy that runs Warrior Poet, the ex-Ranger, I can't remember his name, but he's got a YouTube channel, really cool guy. He was demoing it, and he's like, yeah, I got to do some training out in California, so this is how I'm going, and I'm just going to have an extra bolt carrier group in my bag, and then when I get out there, let's just say I'll be able to train properly, and when I'm traveling. So we always refer to that as our traveler, right? Like how you carry your firearm when you're traveling to where you're going to go.
Nice
is one thing. And then, once you get out of state here in California, then you can convert it to how it's supposed to be.
Right on. Good stuff. Yeah. Oh, but it kind of does break my heart that that's what you guys have to work through. Just like the rest of us have to work through other NFA regulations that are unconstitutional.
Yep.
Pretty soon it's not going to matter.
Pretty soon. Let me tell you, it's not going to matter. This world is getting ugly. This country is getting ugly. And
yeah,
I don't want it to go to a shooting war at all. I just don't see how they're going to avoid it with what they're doing.
I had this conversation. I don't want to hold this up, but I do want to say I did have this conversation with somebody where I'm like, I don't want that. But where all this is going to end in bloodshed. So I'd rather have a civil war than a tyranny. And the options that are on the table are those. So if that's what I've got to choose between, and I'm not the one making the choice anyway, I'd sure rather have a civil war going on than tyranny.
I think it'll go to tyranny first and then civil war.
We're already there.
But I mean, it's going to go to real tyranny. It's going to go to real tyranny where they are literally coming by and taking all of your firearms. And the reason why I think it'll go that direction first is I really feel the conservative side, they don't want it, just like us. We don't want bloodshed. We don't want it to come to that.
Yeah,
I think it's guys who haven't been to war. I haven't been to war, right? But you really see the guys who haven't been to war who are the ones who are like, oh yeah, we need to go do this. That's just not. I mean, if you've been to war, the stories that I've heard from those guys, they don't want to go back to it.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see them allow themselves to be pushed harder and harder and harder. It'll hit tyranny. And then it's like, okay, we got to do something about this.
Let's hope that we don't wait too long, or that they don't wait too long. And an encouragement though, I was going through this. I know we got like 4 minutes here, but a real quick encouragement. I talked to somebody who was concerned about what happens if they get my information and go to this. The reality is we're talking about tens of thousands of people that they're going to have to raid each house. As they go house by house, things are going to have to start early in that process. Otherwise, it only takes so long before we're past it. So we'll see what happens. But my hope is not in any of these things, man.
Yep.
So anyway, you guys take care. Stay strapped or get clapped. Thanks for being a part of the Freedom Nation.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you all later. Take care, everybody. Bye.
You've been listening to the From Concealment podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.